Hello, 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 nonprofit leaders. Have you been told that the board's job is governance? Well, I am here to tell you that your board's job should not be governance. If you're live with me, please take a moment to say hi in the chat. If you're watching the replay, I'd love to hear the answer from you. Yes or no, have you been told that a nonprofit's board job is governance? Just give me just a couple minutes and I'm going to explain to you why that is not the case or should not be the case. But in the meantime, I'm Sarah Olivieri. I am a former executive director. I've been program director, conference coordinator, nonprofit founder, multi-time board member, and I have over 2 decades of experience working in and for nonprofits and with nonprofits. And it's just such a pleasure these days to be a coach and trainer to nonprofit leaders. And today I'm giving you a quick training on nonprofit governance and the role of boards. And as I do, I'm going to take a quick sip and shout out from my grateful mug, which I don't think is showing on camera, from board expert Mary Highland, who is the former host of the Inspired Nonprofit Leadership podcast, for which I now have the honor of hosting myself. Okay, so we have a few people with us live. Please say hi in the chat. All right, why is governance not the board's job? So what is governance, right? So governance is basically your system of authority, decision-making power, and leadership. Any of those things. Often when we think of governance, we think about decision-making authority, especially at the highest level. Governance is a system, and good governance has a system where there is accountability for decision makers. Usually that means that there is some separate person or entity that is double checking or has some checks and balances for the people who are making decisions, meaning we are not overseeing our own decisions. No one person has total and absolute authority. There is no authority really above your police, except for a few things. The IRS is watching a little stuff. But basically, whatever decisions your board makes, they are overseeing themselves. Yes, they need to decide things as a group, and that adds a little level of oversight, but nothing compared to a governance system where your staff, especially if they're paid staff is even better, make decisions. All the decisions, the leadership decisions, the strategic decisions, the goal-setting decisions, the mission clarifying decisions. And then you have a board providing oversight or quality control or double checking. Those kind of all mean the same thing, right? When we separate those two, then we have a great system of governance. Now, it can be a great job for the board to confirm that your organization has a system of governance and that it has a good system of governance, but your board should not be doing all of the deciding and all of the double checking itself. And it shouldn't only be doing just the deciding about the most important decisions like the strategic direction. That's right. I do not want your board deciding on the strategic direction of your organization, because I don't know about you, but I think strategic direction is extremely important and it deserves to have some oversight. And there's no one who's going to give it oversight except for the board. All right. So many nonprofit boards struggle either being too in the weeds or too checked out because they have been told that it is their job to provide all of the governance. And this is actually really confusing when we get down to it. So if you've ever said, I'm going to make the job really easy, you're going to make the big decisions as a board, but we're not going to micromanage and make little decisions, that just doesn't work when we really get down to it. So what I'm going to tell you, with the exception of a couple decisions, I'm going to give you the only decisions that as a board you'll make. Emergency brake decisions. If something grossly ineffective, illegal, or unethical is happening at your organization that you're on the board of, and it's not being addressed already by the staff, then you can make the decision as a board to stop doing that activity. You can pull the emergency brake, say stop. We don't start doing it again. We don't start leading it as a board. We just make the stop decision, right? The emergency brake stops the train. It doesn't restart it. You can make the decision to hire the executive director because sometimes there's nobody else to do it. You could also delegate that, but you could decide who the executive director is going to be because you got to start somewhere. And really, apart from that, and maybe you could be deciding, your own officers and stuff like that and how you're going to run your meetings. Apart from those decisions, as a board, do not make any decisions unless your staff asks you to join them in making a decision because they want you to take some extra liability for it. Other than that, looking, checking, double checking, that's oversight. Oversight is what boards need to be doing. Oversight is not decision making. All right. So you need your job as a board to be oversight as part of a good governance system at your nonprofit and not governance itself. And when you have the role as oversight, you will find that your board members will be happier, their jobs will be easier, and staff will also be happier, and they're going to produce better results. I'll tell you a quick story before we wrap up about an organization who made this exact change that I'm recommending to you now. Before, when they were using the governance model of their job of the board, their executive director and staff had a lot of good ideas and a lot of good plans that they didn't do because they didn't know how to convince their board that they were good ideas. And it was going to take too much work. And so they made plans that were essentially not as good for the organization, but were easier to get approved by the board. After they adopted the oversight model, the staff set about developing and executing the plans of the activities and goals that were the very best that they could have with their current resources for the organization. And they no longer ran their plans through a filter of how do we convince the board. And the board got really happy because, well, these plans worked and the organization had a lot more money and made a lot more impact. And the board's job as board members got a lot easier. And let me just tell you, it's way more fun for everybody when things start working and growing and impact is happening, everything that we're all here for. Those are my tips for you today. If you'd like to be in the room with me, getting that kind of guidance, hand-holding, step-by-step coaching, that's what we do in the Thrive program. And you can go to pivotground.com/application for a quick free application to see if you're a good fit for that program. If you just want more tips like this and you want them in your inbox, you can go to pivotground.com/sign up. And I will send you my weekly newsletter, Inspired Nonprofit Leadership Newsletter, where I will give you those tips as well as announcements about other upcoming trainings and opportunities. It's been such a pleasure. Once again, if you're watching the replay or if you're still here live, let me know in the chat. Do you have a governance model board or do you have an oversight model board that's part of your system of governance? Until next time, bye.